friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another garden update, and the date that I'm shooting this is actually July 7th, so it might be a few days because I got a lot going on. It might be a few days before I get this edited and up, but I wanted you to know the date just so you can keep it relative to the time frame that you're actually seeing it. And so what I'm going to be doing for the next several videos for the garden is just breaking things down by each different garden area. So today I'm going to be focusing on the front garden area, which includes the deck area as well as that out here in the front yard. So let's get started. All right, I'm actually going to start over here in this little corner. I want to show you this little strip. There's nothing special growing right here except for a couple of shrubs. But this is that one area I left open of the front garden area where the chickens can still come out here and have a place to roam. It's definitely much smaller than what they normally get, which once this garden out here dies back, they'll have this whole front garden section, which I'll show you from the front side. So we'll just roll this fence up. But they do like hanging out, especially on our warmer days. They like to hang out under here because they get a lot of shade. But today is actually really cold. Even though it's July 7th, I'm seriously thinking about building a fire when I go back in the house after shooting this video because it is cold. I'm just beginning to think summer will never come. Okay, so let's look at this the deck garden section, which is where I'm growing most of my strawberries right now. Obviously the ones in the smaller pots aren't doing quite as well. Mostly I just wanted to have something in there, but also because it's been so cold, I've been seeing a lot of this on my rhubarb, on my strawberries. But thankfully I've been getting the strawberries have been getting ripe. I've been getting quite a bit, even off my few pretty young plants that I have. And so some of you saw my community post where I made that pie on the 4th of July, and I'll put a picture of it right here. So that was made mostly with the strawberries, but I also added some of my red gooseberries from here. You can still see there's a bunch here I need to come out and pick. I've just been picking them a little at a time, just like I do with my blueberries. So I added those, I added blueberries, and I added rhubarb to the pie, and it did turn out really quite good. So the red gooseberry, when it gets a dark red like this, that's when it's ready. And even though it's pretty ripe right now, it still has this wonderful sweet tart flavor to it that I just love. It's just so tasty. So mostly, I don't have tons. I haven't got tons of berries, but definitely got way more than I did last year. So here is my plan. As you can see, the plant is not looking quite so happy, and I think it's just outgrowing this pot and it needs to go in the ground. So once fall gets here, even though it feels like fall right now, you see that little open area down there? Usually that's where I'm standing when I'm cutting my peppermint, because this is all peppermint here. Well, I'm thinking, well, maybe not that far forward, probably about right here. I might dig up a couple of these marshmallows. So these are a couple of younger marshmallow plants I have here. And I'm thinking about putting that gooseberry right down in there in the ground. And I also still keep thinking about taking this rhododendron out, because it's just the weirdest rhododendron ever, because it never gets really thick with foliage, but it does get a ton of beautiful flowers in the spring. If nothing else, I'm gonna prune it back and make it thinner. And you see all this here? That's all my peppermint coming up through the rhododendron, and I'm fine with that. You'll see the same thing over there on the azalea. And I just harvest it from the top, so when I come out here later tonight to get some for tea, I'll be doing that. But anyway, yeah, that's what I plan on doing, or at least having Patrick do for me, because I don't think I'll be able to. I moved this out here and it was hard. Moving it from the back deck to the front was hard enough, so I think I'll let Patrick do that. So there's another strawberry. I haven't been getting even though the plant looks big and healthy, I haven't been getting as many berries off of that one. Here is the fig. Now this is the one that I got last year, thanks to Lisa Booker, because my mom passed away. She sent me a gift certificate to get something to plant in honor of my mom, and so this was the fig tree. That's one of them, or plant, whatever you want to call it. I have a couple more figs that I got from Debunker that are I thought they were dead. I'll be talking about those in a future video, but they are starting to come back. I wanted to say that while I was thinking of it. Anyway, this nasturtium here is finishing up. So the reason I'm leaving most of the flowers on here is because this one I'm going to use to collect the seed from. And I'll be saving those for next year. And I've since planted a couple more seeds here, because here's one thing about the dwarf nasturtium, is that it comes up quicker and goes into flower a lot quicker than your larger, oh, here's a couple seeds, a few seeds forming, good, than your larger nasturtiums do. And so I'm finding this year I can just keep planting them and just keep getting new plants and then replacing them, much like you would do with lettuce. And so that's kind of what's happened here. This is actually one that it's a lot older than it looks, because it's just, the weather was just too cold when I moved it out here. But these are ones I planted directly in this pot from seed. So, and then this pot is one of the honeysuckles. It hasn't had as many flowers. It gets a little colder out here than the one out back does, because it's not as sheltered, but it's coming along. I see a lot of buds forming on it. So I'm thinking about having Patrick build me a trellis that covers this whole section, you know, goes over the top, because this is the steps going up to the deck. And then if it goes all the way across, you know, up there and over, and then back down again on this other side, then that could be really cool looking to have the honeysuckle, and hopefully one of these three here will perk up, and you know, these are pieces that broke off, and then I can, you know, have them meet together and make a little archway. Okay, so let's go out to this main garden section. Actually, let me come out here. I need to start collecting. It looks like I see seed forming. I've had people asking me to save comfrey seeds, so I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to save the comfrey seeds to put up on my store this year. So that is a plum. This is a Stella cherry. That is a Bing cherry. See the red leaves? A lot of my trees think it's fall. I'm telling you, it feels like fall. This is the quince. Just got it last year. Got fruit on it last year. This year it looked like it was going to bust out with all kinds of fruit, and they all shriveled up and died like all the rest of them. More comfrey here that I really need to take care of. And I'm thinking this is last year. I think I've said this before. This is the last year on this peach tree. It gives us very, very tasty peaches, but only maybe one every other year. These were the first batch of carrots I planted, and the cold weather we've been having just brought them to a halt pretty much. We got a few real warm days. They started to grow and then stopped again. This dwarf peach tree, it's going to go. I love the looks of it when it's leafing out, because to me it has a very tropical look, but it's got to go, because it's just, when it does get fruit, it's not even good tasting fruit. So like, same thing with the zucchini. They should be a lot farther along and looking darker green than this, but the cold weather and the lack of sun has just really stunted them. Thankfully, my rhubarb is still doing good. I've actually pulled out some really healthy, thick stalks out of those. So even though they've got some red along the edges from this cold, they're still producing quite well. My potatoes back there are finishing up. I did dig a few up. I already expect I'm not going to get near the amount of potatoes this year for two reasons. One, because of the weather, and two, because I wasn't getting the grass clippings to pile on them that helps give them a lot more potatoes. So that mess back there, this is just a process I'm working on them, so I'm going between all the potato plants, just leaving them there for now, and already starting to transplant some of my amaranth that I started from seeds. And there's the chicky birds back there. And then my stinging nettle, I've been starting to collect the seeds from that. I've got a whole bunch of seeds drying out right now. I've got more to collect. So I should have a good supply of stinging nettle, hopefully this next year. And there's my that's actually the original comfrey plant back in there. Before we started expanding the front yard garden now, and then I moved some out under the fruit trees. And so I've been drying up a lot of that. Okay, so down here, these are ground cherries that had self-seeded. I wasn't going to mess with them this year, but even with as cold as it has been, they still are growing right there amongst my beets, so that's cool. Now, these are your standard red beets. I think they're the cylindrical shaped one. No, these are round beets. So these are just your average round dark red beet. There's a nasturtium. And these ones, you can tell by the difference in, a little bit difference in color. These are the mangle beets. They're also bigger. Here they're still not going to get as big as they do for some people, but I definitely get more beet from them than I do the red beets. Now here's the second carrot box. These carrots were planted much later than the other ones, and they're the same size. In fact, I have one here in the purples that's a lot bigger than the rest. Still very tiny though, thanks to this cold weather that we're having, and I did go ahead, as you can see, and put some beet seed in there as well. Now let's talk a little bit about my herbs up here. I've got the lemon balm that I just keep hacking back and hacking back, so it would look a lot bigger, but I keep, you know, making tea out of it and drying it up for tea through the winter. That's my big sage. So if you were watching some of my earlier garden videos from this season, you would have noticed the sage looked kind of sad and, you know, just very sparse. But now that it's in that time of the year, at least thankfully, despite all the cold, my herbs are doing, most of my herbs anyway, are doing great. And the sage is one of them, the oregano. So I've been cutting a lot of these back and dehydrating them up. The peppermint, I just keep coming out and cutting it. Every day I cut some. And then that echinacea there is doing pretty good. I should start seeing flowers coming on it pretty soon. And then, like I said, that's marshmallow back there. I've been, there would be a lot more there, but I've been cutting that and dehydrating up the leaves. And then there's one of my golden oregano. So what I would like to do is, I think what I'm going to do is clean out a lot of this grass and clover and that stupid buttercup, and then get this golden oregano to spread all the way across the front of this and right in front of the carrot box. Whether or not it stays a carrot box is a matter of question. We'll see how well the carrots do in this. If not, then this will probably be turned into a place where I'll be growing more calendula, maybe even strawberries. Because what I'd like to do anyway, whether I use these for carrots or not, continue to, we're eventually going to put, Pat's going to make boxes to go all the way across here, and I want at least one of them to be a box just for strawberries. I really want to increase the amount of strawberries that I get now that I'm doing more with them. One of the things I'm going to do either today or probably not today, the strawberries I've been picking, I've been setting aside in the refrigerator, and I plan on making Patrick some strawberry creamsicles out of some here within the next few days. Okay, so that's my garden update for this week, or at least for today. I might be putting up some closer together a little bit back to back. We'll see. Again, that means that all my other videos keep getting pushed out, the ones that I don't try to keep more up to date because it's not as big a deal. So some videos I've been promising are coming out might be still another month out. But yeah, anyway, I plan on trying to get a few more out, focusing on the different garden areas. Some things are still really struggling because we've had just crazy cold. Usually after the 4th of July, our real summer finally comes, and we're still waiting. Today feels like late fall. It really does, and it's very cold. I was going to give the dog a bath, but unless I build the fire today, I'm not going to do that because the poor little guy, he'll freeze to death. So anyway, be watching for more videos coming. I don't know which one I'll do next. I might focus on that West End herb garden because that thing out there is just exploding. It's doing great. So I think it helps that it's right up against the house, so it stays pretty well protected. But and then I'll focus on the deck garden another week, and then another week I'll go over the other gardens out in the backyard. Well, I hope you're enjoying my 2020 garden updates, and if you're curious about previous years, I have garden videos that go back to 2016 when I first started my channel. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.